Good morning. It's the next day. We did a little bit of work last night and we're closing in. We're working on bracing up the sides and the walls and then onto the roof, finishing that up. We've got some tarps with us. This is just a canvas drop cloth. I'm not sure the size, it's pretty decent. And then I've got a 5x8 canvas tarp. In addition to those two tarps, we have some plastic drop cloth that we're going to be using for the roof, and we've got a couple shelter halves in the Jeep. We're just going to start patching this thing together. Hopefully we can spend the night out in it this weekend. Got to get cracking. That's our front door. I'm just lashing on some cross pieces to support this wall, and I have transitioned to using some cotton twine. This has been on my family's farm for years, since I was a kid. I think my grandpa had it and I just found it this morning, so we're good to go. Time for some lunch. What do we got today, sweetie?
Deer meat noodle soup.
Deer meat noodle soup. Let's check this business out. It looks pretty alright to me. Is it delicious?
Yeah.
Is it satisfying? Is it satiating?
Soup is sufficient.
You heard it here first, guys. The soup is sufficient. Guys, we just got hooked up. My brother Josh just hooked us up with a wood burning stove, and we're just getting it into the shelter now. Atlanta Stoveworks. Couldn't get any more perfect. He gave us some pipe for it and everything.
And some floof.
And some floof. This nice deer hide Catherine's wearing. We hooked him up with a knife and some wilderness stuff, and now yeah, good trade. Home's gotten a little more comfortable today. Woo!
Pickle house.
Getting closer. I'm tying in the arches right now. We've got a few more of those to do. I want to try and reduce the space between the arches and the cross brace to about 2 foot a piece. It's a little bit larger than that, but we're getting really close. Altogether right now, we've got about 25, maybe 30 hours in the frame. Considering not a whole lot of time for what we're gonna have when we're done. started layering the branches in diagonally on the section that'll cover the front door. It's starting to look pretty rad. It's getting way more solid. So many knots. I think I'm a little over 30 hours into the frame so far. And aside from collecting the trees and, you know, sourcing my materials, the biggest hole for time has just been tying all the knots, doing all the lashing. There's hundreds on here. I made my way through, I don't know, probably 1,000 feet of jute twine to start it off. And then I progressed to some bank line that I had, which is great. And if I had the extra, I would just do the whole thing in bank line because it'll stand up to the weather. But I wanted to kind of put a cap on it and limit ourselves to just the bare minimum. We spent $30 on materials. Everything else we've scrounged up so far. We found some cotton string on the farm and in the stove that we picked up the other day from my brother Josh. There was a roll of this cotton cord, and this has been awesome. So we just keep trucking and things keep lining up and it's working out. So I'm almost ready to throw a lid on this thing. I've got to fill out some more of the roof and narrow up some of those gaps. Some of them are like the ones right there. They're about 4 feet, you know, square. They need to be about 2 foot apart, 2 foot square, for the tarp to lay on it and be able to support any weight. That's what I'd like to do anyway. But these diagonals sure do help fill in a lot of space quickly. And it adds a lot of support by changing the lines. I'm just wrapping up for the day. I've probably got another 5 hours in this afternoon, which is putting us at about 35 hours so far total. And it's looking pretty good. And the thing about this structure is you're able to continually add pieces as you go. So we can get a workable shelter happening and then just add pieces in and build onto it as we see fit and as it's necessary. It's going to be very easy to do repairs. As we notice any of the joints getting loose, just add a new binding, throw in a new piece of wood, and there it is. All right, guys, getting closer.